Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We're going to leave a few seconds for people that are joining. We see people are still joining, so just a few seconds to kick this off. Okay, I think we can start today. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We have a very special event. We have a webinar with our partner L'Oreal, and the idea is to hear about from them what is it that they're doing in all the processes that they're carrying away, especially with the Green Science Incubator, and how is it that they're putting the startups at the heart of what they do. So with us today, we have Céline Farcet. She's the global head of technology partnering and open innovation. We have also Fabian Desguard. He's the group leader in strategic partnerships for sustainability. We have Maria Dalcosivia. She's the director of Green Science Incubator. We have Isabel Malcuy. She's the chief strategy officer from Algentech. And we have also Olivier Thomas. He is the executive director of Emergence and Acceleration at Genopole. And I am Juan David Botero. I'm the Innovation Acceleration Manager at Hello Tomorrow. So before we begin, just a quick words on what is it that we do at Hello Tomorrow in case you don't know about us, but our mission is to bring this technologies from lab to market, or what we call deep tech. Our idea is to connect this global ecosystem and to solve the biggest challenges, or to solve the challenges in planetary health or human health development. And we focus on giving impact, right, to create a sustainable growth for a better world. How do we do this, and how do we practice this mission? The idea is to scout deep tech solutions worldwide. So we do our global challenge, and that then leads us to our global summit that is happening soon. So that's how we collaborate, building a collaborative ecosystem. It's how we started 10 years ago with different stakeholders on the startup side, on the corporate side, on investors. So we bring different stakeholders for them to foster different ways of collaborating among themselves. We have also innovation and consulting services. And we also have this deep tech observatory where we identify and all the innovations and trends that are happening around deep tech. We're proud to say that L'Oreal has partnered with us in more than one of these initiatives, and that's why we're here today with them. So I'm going to hand it over to Céline Farcet to tell us a bit more about what they're doing in the open innovation R&D at L'Oreal.
Thank you, Juan, for the introduction. So I'm Céline, and I will introduce you to the research and innovation of L'Oreal, and also the open innovation team and how we operate. So L'Oreal was created 115 years ago by a chemist, Eugène Schweller, that developed and commercialized the very first hair dyes, safe hair dyes product. And since then, we have had a strong purpose to create the beauty that moves the world. Beyond the L'Oréal Paris brands, you may not be aware of the portfolio of 37 brands of the group, because we work across all product categories: skincare, makeup, hair care, hair coloration and fragrances, and only cosmetics. So we say that we are a pure player. And those brands are organized across different divisions, each of which has a specific target in terms of consumer universe and distribution channels. Hence, it's a unique footprint across all categories. And the R&I has been at the very beginning of the story of L'Oréal. So since the beginning, we say it's part of our DNA, really, and it has been the power of engine of our development and growth. So when looking at the R&I of L'Oréal, it's close to 4,000 researchers that are worldwide across 6 regional hubs, 20 research centers. So this network of research organization gives us a very close connections to our consumer and the markets in order to have strong and acute insights of the needs of each consumers everywhere in the world. It allows us to develop with that insights very specific products for each of them in a very inclusive manner. Last year, in 2022, the year ago, it led to about 4,700 products launched on the markets, and we filed 561 patents. So it means that when you are collaborating with L'Oréal, you are not only collaborating with one single team, with the open innovation, whether it's in the US, in Europe, or in Asia. You are actually having access to the full R&I organization globally. There are 5 major pillars for the transformation of R&I. The first one is the inclusivity. We want to meet the infinite diversity of the needs and aspirations of all our consumers. The second pillar is encompassing the green sciences revolution to reach our commitments by 2030 that are part of our program L'Oréal for the Future. The third one is the augmented beauty. This one means that we want to enhance the experience and the products through the new tech and invent the future of beauty. Some of this has been exposed during the last CES a few weeks ago in Las Vegas. Then comes the augmented researchers. This is where we want to exploit the amount of data that has been accumulated by L'Oréal over more than 100 years of research on products, on consumers, on skin, on hair, in order to accelerate and innovate even further through this ability to exploit this data. And the last pillar is the one that we call the world of co. This is where open innovation fits. World of co means it's gathering all the activities of collaboration, cooperation, co-innovation that are involving external partners. So obviously, we are not creating the future of beauty by ourselves. We need external partners. And this has been a strong conviction since the very beginning of L'Oréal, to foster and form external partnerships in various areas and with various types of partners, academic, industrials, and startups. So we want to remain true to our motto to seize what is starting. But while being an industry leader, we also want to sustain a startup spirit. What does it mean? It means that we want to take into account all the specificities of the startups and also adapt our ways of working when it comes to startup collaborations. But before searching for partners, we need to define very clearly what are we looking for. What are the technical bricks that we need to explore and to scout externally? So we have defined our verticals that we call also frontiers across those thematic. The first one is around everything in biology. So we can't disclose more details here, but for instance, you can find biotech approaches fitting there. Green sciences obviously will be key, and you will find out more later on with the presentation of Fabien and Maria, because they will allow us to really reach our commitments for 2030. Devices and tech that will allow to feed our augmented beauty approach in order to identify new technologies, algorithms, and devices that can help us to invent new products. New spaces is really where we want to be open to new approaches that can help us to reinvent even fully some of our routine and experiences. And finally, product development. This is where we have very clear and technical needs that has been defined in order to overcome some technical challenge of our products. So in open innovation, considering these frontiers, we have organized ourselves to be as close as possible to the ecosystems in the world. So we are a team across 9 countries and 3 continents, and really to focus on hotspots where we can find deep tech startups with a high concentration of them that are matching also the thematics of our verticals and frontiers. And once we have implemented our network in those ecosystems, then we can start to implement collaborative partnerships. And once we detect a partner and we select it, in order to have the collaboration implemented for the best. So what kind of partnership are we implementing? Actually, we do custom-made partnerships. We adapt our contractual frames to the technology maturity first and to the typology of partners. So meaning that for startups, we adapt that specifically for them. And then it will evolve along the collaboration milestones. So it can start by evaluation agreement, and for the most promising one, and if the results turns out to be the one that we all expect, then move to co-development or licensing or supply or commercial agreements. For the startups, we can even complement that with some minority equity investments via our corporate venture fund called BOLD, that can take part into the collaboration with our partners. So what's in there for our partners? What do they get? When we start implementing a collaboration, we want to make sure that our partner get a benefit, whatever the outcome of the collaborations, even if it stops before we expected. And this is especially true for startups. We want to make sure that somehow they can grow through their collaboration with us. So we are very cautious to make sure that they gain something, either through access to new expertise via the RNI researchers, through in-depth maybe description of the technology thanks to some facilities that we have in the lab, to get feedback on the market fit with a cosmetic, to get access also to market insights on consumer or distribution channels, obviously get exposure to some event like Hello Tomorrow, and also to have access to the incubation model through the Green Science Incubator that Maria will present later on. So you see here various collaborations that have been implemented between L'Oréal and some startups, covering a variety of technical areas and following either research or co-dev agreements, along with some of them some minority equity from both, and even recently full acquisition of some technologies like Lactobio or Gyoza. So now Fabien will deep dive more into the biotech partnerships to give you more insights on them. Fabien, I'll let you continue.
Great. Thank you very much, Céline. Okay. Okay, so now if we focus on our sustainability commitment to start with. We at L'Oréal have been investing in the area of sustainability for quite a while. We had a first external facing program running from 2030 to 2020 that was very much focusing on reducing the impact, the environmental impact of our own activities, and that led to a very deep transformation of the company. In 2020, we launched a new program called L'Oréal for the Future, as you can see on the screen, a 10-year program, which this time takes a life cycle-based, a circular approach to the way we do things. So in this case, we're not only aiming to reduce the environmental impact of our own activities, but we're looking to respect the so-called planetary boundaries that many of you will have heard of, that has been developed by the Stockholm Resilience Center. What you can see on the screen is the typical life cycle of a cosmetic product. So from the extraction of the ingredient on the left to the manufacturing of our product, all the way to the product used, so the use phase by our consumer, more on the right, and obviously the end of use, end of life of our product. In our case, the vast majority of our product end up in the drain. If you think about shampoo, for example, and I will talk a little bit more about this in a minute. So we set ourselves a number of very ambitious, quantified objectives in terms of sustainability. And what I'll do is just focus on a few of these objectives that are most relevant to this session today. One of the key objectives we set ourselves is related to the origin of our ingredients. So we are dedicated to moving away from using fossil-derived feedstocks and limiting ourselves to a very few most challenging ingredient by 2030. So more specifically, we'd like 95% of our ingredients by 2030 to be bio-based, derived from abundant minerals. So some ingredients in cosmetics are inorganic in nature, or derived from circular processes. So for example, from unvalorized CO2. So switching the origin of our ingredient is great, but it's not enough. You also need to look at the sourcing. So that's why we also have an objective related to the sourcing of our ingredients. We want 100% of our bio-based ingredient to be traceable and sustainably sourced. That's why we've developed a methodology to ensure safe and decent work for our suppliers and ensure zero discrimination and equal opportunities between producers. So that's for the origin and the sourcing. We also need to look at the end of life. As I mentioned a minute ago, most of our products end up in drain, in the water. Obviously, we are looking at whether there's any technologies we could use to try to recover this ingredient. But in the shorter term, I think we need to make sure that the products that we produce are respectful of the aquatic ecosystems. So, i.e., they need to be biodegradable and non-ecotoxic. So that's for the origin, the end of life of our product. We also need to as I said, we want to take a life cycle-based approach. So we need to look at the social and environmental impact of our products across their life cycle. And that's why we've got an objective, which is by 2030 to make sure that our products are what we call eco-design. So I realize that eco-design might mean different things to different people. At L'Oréal, for us to determine whether a product is considered as eco-design, we use a tool that's been developed with external, very well-known experts in the area of LCA to evaluate the environmental and social impact of our products. So you can see some of the I think it's more than 14 criteria that are taken into account. Carbon, of course, but there are many others, as you can see on the slide at the bottom right of the slide. This tool I've just mentioned is an internal tool, so can only be used by L'Oréal and its brands. But we think we can do more at the sectoral level, and that's why we've recently joined over 70 other companies and stakeholders in the beauty sector to join a consortium called Eco Beauty Score. And this consortium has two main objectives. One is to have a standardized method to evaluate the environmental impact of cosmetic products. And the second objective is to have a common and agreed scoring system to allow companies on a voluntary basis to disclose the environmental footprint of their cosmetic product to their consumers. Clearly, and Céline has talked a little bit about the green sciences earlier on, to be able to meet some of the very ambitious sustainability objectives we set ourselves, we have to rely on a number of sciences that we call at L'Oréal the green sciences. They are depicted on the slide in front of you. So these four sciences are sustainable cultivation, or agriculture 2.0, green chemistry, of course, green extraction, and biotech, which is something that's very much of interest to us. And we want to harness the potential of these four sciences to develop the product, the ingredient and product of tomorrow that are both high performing and sustainable by design. Of course, meeting this challenge, this very ambitious sustainability commitment, but at the same time also meeting the demand in terms of performance from our consumers, we can't do this on our own. We need to team up, so partnering is a must. And clearly there are many different ways of doing it. Celine talked about it, 50 shades of deals. We are a large number of our ingredients come from suppliers. So we're working with the most innovative suppliers of ours. So you've got an example here on the slide where we've worked on greening the process of producing vitamin C with DSM, which is one of our suppliers. We're working more and more with startups, as mentioned by Celine. We've invested, for example, a few years ago in a French biotech startup called Global Bioenergies, which have developed a very unique process to produce isotodecane, which is a commonly used solvent in eyewear makeup. We also more recently invested in Debut Bio, a US startup that is into cell-free manufacturing. And we're also very much open to joining multi-partner ventures. So you might or might not have heard that we've recently last year joined a venture led by a US company called Genopole, and involving two of our competitors, so L'Oreal and Unilever and Kao. And we're very excited by this initiative because we believe that by partnering with some of our competitors that share the same commitments in terms of sustainability, we can leverage our expertise, our resources to have a truly meaningful impact. And I think that's my last slide. To sum up, while developing more sustainable product, we need to take a life cycle based approach. So, switching the origin of our ingredients from fossil to bio or circular is great, but it's not enough. For example, we need to make sure that the processes that are used are also sustainable, also green, and that's why we believe that the green sciences and including biotech have a really major role to play. And clearly, as Celine mentioned, as I said just a minute ago, we can't do this on our own. We need to partner, and we need to develop new ways of working with external partners, academics, large companies, and obviously startups, and make the most of what we call at L'Oreal, as was mentioned by Celine earlier, the world of co. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Thank you for your attention. And again, if you have any ideas or suggestion of things you could potentially do with us, please feel free to get in touch. I think I will.
Thank you very much, Fabian. Okay. So remember, just a quick reminder, we have a button on the bottom right that there's a chat for you to interact with everyone. We're very happy to see people from all over the world. And right next to that one to the left, you have our questions button. So if you have any questions for Fabian, for Celine, or for the rest of the panelists that we're going to be having today, don't hesitate to put your questions there, and you can vote for the questions that you might want to have first. So please have those engagements there, and we'll be happy to having those questions by the end of the panel. So now discussing about partnerships, let's hand it over to Maria Isabel and Olivier, who's going to give us some insights of what they're doing with Genopole.
Sorry, I was unmuted. Okay, thank you very much, Juan. I start, so let's talk about the Green Science Incubator of L'Oreal Research and Innovation. So as presented by Fabien, L'Oréal initiated the L'Oréal for the Future program in 2020 with a very ambitious sustainability objectives for 2030 in terms of climate, resources, biodiversity, and water. So, of course, to achieve these objectives, we need sciences and technologies, green sciences and green technologies, as Fabien also explained. And we knew and still know that we cannot achieve all of these objectives alone. We know we need external partners, including startups. And it was the trigger 3 years ago to create, with the help of Open Innovation Team, or Green Sciences Incubator, so in 2021. We defined the playground, also I have to move the slide. So we defined the playground of our incubator, so 3 years ago, the Green Sciences. So the Green Sciences is our playground, the Green Technologies, Green Sciences. But we have to focus, we had to decide on what topics we will focus. So we decided to focus on sustainable cultivation, vertical farming systems, of course, sustainable vertical farming systems, circular technologies to develop, for example, new generation feedstock-based sustainable ingredients. And also in the next future, we would like to identify technologies with positive impact on water use. And if we can identify some green science technologies, which is not in these topics, but it can be a huge opportunity for us, of course, we can still incubate it. What does it mean exactly for us at L'Oréal in the Green Sciences Incubator work with startups? What does it mean, the process, the incubation process for us? So incubation is a lever to explore startup technologies to produce what we call proof of potential in cosmetic application. We propose to work closely with the startup hand in hand. It's a new ways of working in the scope of a new ways of working for us at least. And in the objective is to reveal the potential of the technology of the startup, transpose it into cosmetic application, and position the technology of the startup on the cosmetic market, thanks to this proof of potential. And all of this by an accelerated manner, more efficient maybe, more agile. We, together with the startup, create one common project, one joint team. We define together the objective and the delivery of the project. And also we define together a dedicated budget. The Green Sciences Incubator finance all expenses during the incubation period. As our objective is to be in a win-win situation with the startup, we defined with the startup once again together an adapted and very advantageous legal frame for the incubation period. To provide an even more powerful environment during the incubation period, we partnered last year with Genopole, a biocluster of excellence close to Paris. And thanks to this partnership, we provide free facilities, labs and offices for the startups, if necessary. L'Oréal, Green Science Incubator and Genopole together provide a really powerful and complementary environment for the startups. Today, we have around 10 startups in our portfolio at different stage of incubation. And one of them is here today with us, is Algentech. So before letting Algentech to talk, I would like just to ask Olivier from Genopole to explain why Genopole decided to partner with us. And Olivier, what was the key factor for you that made this collaboration successful? If you can.
Yes. Thank you, Maria. The answer to your question is a cultural fit. But let me explain just in a couple of minutes what we do at Genopole. So as you mentioned, Genopole is actually historically the first French biocluster, so cluster dedicated to biotechnologies. In other words, we're a biotechnology science park. Historically, we've been operating from 1998, and I've spent the first, I would say, 20 years of our life dedicated to human health, to biotechnology in human health and innovative therapies, gene therapy, cell therapy, you name it. And then over the past, I don't know, 7, 8 years, we've sort of faced the fact that I was sort of hinted by Céline and Fabien before that, well, biotechnology was taking over the world. So we started to work on different spaces, apart from human health, which remains our core activity. But now half of our activity is dedicated to other type of markets, therefore other partners and other type of corporate partners specifically. So our goal is to, I would say, to extend the potential of healthcare biotech to other industries, including, of course, like we mentioned before, green tech, green sciences, we call that bioeconomy, and to remain what we're doing, which is accelerate the development of biotech startups, and not just technologies. And that's the reason why the answer to your question is the cultural fit, because we've been working a lot with major corporations and manufacturers across different fields, different spaces. But in order to make that work and to push that to another level, just what has been described in the by my previous colleagues, sorry, it's really about bringing a cultural fit together. And the cultural fit is, yes, the technological part of that is the core of what we're doing, but it's not just about grasping some technology. It's also about supporting the development of the startups we're working with in itself, right? And open innovation and the Green Science Incubator at L'Oréal represented really that sort of strategic fit we've been looking for a very long time. So it's a cultural fit. It's, of course, a great human fit and relation with the Green Science Incubators. Frankly, I've been doing that for 20 years, working with people so smart, so welcoming for the startups, so excited about what we're trying to build is really an everyday pleasure. And I think the startups know that as well, feel that. And that's part of the intangibles that also accelerate what we're doing. And of course, another key element was kind of embedding physically this sort of tripartite collaboration between the startups, us, and L'Oréal as the major nexus of what we're doing here, and embedding that into the labs that you mentioned, the 3 labs at Genopole that are at disposal of the startups that are joining the journey. That gives us an additional partner. And that's what it is about, right? It's about cross-fertilization between, on the one hand, the research and innovation on a great industrial cosmetics group, our team at Genopole, multidisciplinary team at Genopole, and of course, I have to mention that as well, the whole ecosystem. What we bring on the table is the whole ecosystem of startups, public research labs, small and medium companies, and that allows us to build and to drive research and innovation, and to, more importantly, open for everyone, for the startups, for L'Oréal, I hope, for us, the field of possibilities, right? So all this is great and good, but there's probably no better way to touch that than to have some sort of a very concrete, a very specific example. So Isabelle, would you care to explain to us how our collaboration with L'Oréal, with us, has allowed basically to open up the possibility, the opportunities for Algentech?
Thank you very much, Olivier. Thanks, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. So I'm Isabelle Malcuit. I'm Chief Scientific Officer of Algentech. And so I will start just by giving you a short introduction of our activities. Algentech is a green science company. We are specialized in synthetic biology in plants. And So what it means concretely is that we transform plants into green factories to produce different types of molecules. This can be pigments, nucleic acids, such as RNA, for example, for vaccine application, peptides, antimicrobial proteins, and eco-friendly alternatives to chemical synthesis. So this is done in a sustainable way with a reduced carbon footprint, as plants naturally consume CO2 as their carbon source for their metabolism and to produce different types of molecules. So we tap into the richness of nature with a mission to make a positive impact on the environment and its sustainability. And going back to your question about the tripartite model and what he's bringing it to Algentech and to startups who want to join the incubator, I think the essence of the three-way collaboration is about, for us, getting support from different entities who allow us to go further in our development plan. So by exploring, for example, new business avenues, and for us, what was new was to access to a new market, cosmetic market. So thanks to the collaboration with L'Oréal and Genopole, we went from a technology that was more dedicated to be used in agri-tech, which was our initial business model. Then we went on to access the healthcare sector. And now we are also able to address cosmetic applications and hopefully more sectors to come in the future. So before we started this collaboration, so we had some product in pipe for which we never imagined that there could be possible applications in cosmetics. And this collaboration is allowing us to test that and is very much appreciated to move forward in our development plan. So in addition, I also wanted to point out an important aspect of the tripartite collaboration, which is so the increased visibility we have gained, which is very important for us. Our company has gained through communication campaigns by Genopole and L'Oréal and RaiseLab around the Green Science Incubator and different actions around that. So this is very much appreciated, especially when you're in the process of fundraising as a startup. So this is very important.
Maybe I should ask the question, Isabelle, if I may. Did you have any reserve before starting the incubation program with us to work with a large group as L'Oréal? Was there any barrier what you detected or perceived?
Mm-hmm. So yes, and I think there's quite a few startups here today in the room. So I think they may have the same kind of questions. So from a startup point of view, I think there may be some concern, obviously, when you embark on a collaboration with a large corporation, because, for example, for us, it was questions such as, what is going to happen with my intellectual property? Or are we going to have some freedom to use the results after the collaboration has ended? So this kind of question we put forward early in the discussion with L'Oréal, and it was clear from this discussion that these questions were not going to be an issue, which was quite reassuring for us, which was very nice. And so I would like to conclude before, we have a Q&A session later. We'd like to say that this tripartite model is quite unique. It has brought us a significant boost in our development, and I can only recommend that new startup join this structure. So if you want to accelerate your development and explore a new market to diversify your activity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isabel, and thank you, everyone, for this very insightful conversation. So now we're going to start taking some of the questions that we have on the chat. I see that Celine has already answered to some, and that's great. We can save some time there. But there's one that has been voting for from Maria, and she asked, what are the key elements you will be focusing on? Is it to procure more sustainable ingredients, minimize packaging or products, or more health tech, or is it a little bit of all? Would I say, Celine, you want to discuss this?
Sorry, Juan, can you say the question? I was answering the one in the chat, so I didn't get this one.
Sorry, I caught you off guard. But it's the question is, what are the key elements you will be focusing on? Is it to procure more sustainable ingredients, minimize packaging on products, or more health tech, or is it a bit of all? Where's the focus?
Actually, it's a bit of all. For open innovation, we have those verticals and frontiers that really encompasses the main priorities for open innovation. And there's a full pillar on green sciences. This is key because we have to help bring new technologies, whether it's materials or processes, to help do this shift in the portfolio of our ingredients. But there are also other challenges that are key in biology or in tech. And in those ones, all the L'Oréal for the Future commitments will have to be integrated. But the first outcome will be a new active for microbiome, for instance. But the L'Oréal for the Future commitments will be integrated. In the Green Sciences one, it means that it's more the L'Oréal for the Future commitment that is the main purpose, the main target. So in a way, it's either the innovation in L'Oréal for the Future or the L'Oréal for the Future in innovation. It works in both ways, but both are equally important.
Yeah. Just if I may, to add on what Céline just said, yes, it's all of the above. We've on some of the objectives I show, we're very much focusing on ingredients. We've got other objectives as part of our L'Oréal for the Future program focusing on packaging. So we've got teams focusing on packaging innovation, so minimizing, but also moving away from virgin fossil plastics. And in terms of the greenification of our portfolio, there are three main streams, so to say. We've got ingredients that we know we want to replace by exactly the same one, but bio-based and done produced in a green manner. So this is one stream. Then there are other ingredients we know we want to replace them, but for one reason or another, we want to move away from that specific ingredient. We want some functional alternatives, perhaps because the end of life is not great, perhaps for regulatory reasons. So that in that case, we want same properties but different chemical structure, so functional alternative. And then the third stream is more longer term, but it's more about developing disruptive technologies, so very, very high performing, so a new level of performance, but are green by design. So I hope I answer some of your questions.
Thank you, Fabien. We have another question that might be also for you, and Sebastian asks, and is highly voted. So I guess many people in the room want to know about what is the goal, about this goal that you mentioned of obtaining 95% of the ingredients sustainably sourced. Can you share the list of what are the priority of the molecules for which you're looking for?
Sharing lists would be I think we need to have a chat to come at the Hello Tomorrow conference, and we can have a discussion about that. I think we can't really share lists like this on the internet, but we're very happy to have a chat about it. I think we need to have a separate discussion about that.
Okay, so if someone is interested in developing this kind of molecules, they need to reach out to you, and you can have a conversation. And that brings me to another question that I saw, and is how does a startup reach out? What is the process? And maybe Maria, you can tell us a bit about this. If a startup is interested in working with you, what should they do?
If it's for incubation program or project, of course, the person can contact us, directly myself. But globally, if it's a contact, the startup need a contact globally in terms of open innovation target, they should contact Céline. Céline is the best contact, because anyway, even if it's for incubation, Céline can transfer the proposal to us. Fabien too, of course, but Céline for all open innovation contact is the best person, the right person.
Yeah, we work very closely all together, because then depending on the kind of technologies and what we need are actually to position it within cosmetic applications. This is where either we will go straight for evaluation program, or if it needs a little bit more exploration, this is where the Green Science Incubator is great, because it gives a little bit more time to explore those technologies that are not so straightforward in terms of cosmetic application, but still very important. So this is where we can use those different levers.
Yes. So just to complete maybe my presentation and what you said, Celine. So the incubator take in charge mainly technologies with the most interesting for incubation when the technology is not obvious in cosmetic application, when it's not obvious how we can position it and this technology in cosmetic application. Mainly they are technology platforms. So technology platforms with different endpoints, and during the incubation program, we try to transpose it for cosmetic application and position on different cosmetic endpoints. So I hope I answered to your
Thanks,
question.
Maria and Celine. Yeah, definitely. And about this work with startups, we have another question regarding how is it that you partner with them, and if investment can be considered at some point for more advanced startups?
So there's a whole variety, as I showed on the wheel of engagement models. So it usually starts by evaluation, a very technical approach. We like technology at L'Oréal, so this is usually the entry door. We need to understand the technology, what it can do, what it cannot do. And once we have a good understanding of how it's positioned, then we can align it with a use case, a cosmetic use case, and see if it's really fulfilling the expectations that we have, or develop it with you. And once we have a conviction that there's something that we can go further in terms of engagement, and if it's also okay for the partner, then this is where the co-development or licensing, depending on what is suitable, will be engaged. And this is where we start also maybe to ask the question, is it a technology and a partner? Because then it's not only about the techno, it's the full team and partner that we need to consider. That may be to be considered for investment through our CVC board. But for research technology, the CVC board will only invest if there is some conviction that have been demonstrated through first a collaboration, a research collaboration. So it always starts through the team that you see here, and then at some point, then we will present that to board if we see that it's really important to engage even further through this kind of minority equity investment.
Thank you, Celine. Another question we have is if you are including lab consumables providers in your green objectives.
For the for which objectives?
The L'Oréal for the future objectives. Globally, it's a very
well. The L'Oréal for the future is for the group globally, and then it is applied differently whether you're in R&I or in different entities. But everyone has its L'Oréal for the future commitments. And for the whole assessment of R&I, these are the objectives, the goals that Fabien shared in terms of product development. And of course, there are also goals for the facilities and each location on the scope 1, where we have to minimize our impact. This has been also taken in charge during the first program Sharing Beauty with All between 2010 and 2013 and 2020. That was only on the scope 1, and all the lab facilities, the resources was managed there. Now it's about L'Oréal for the future is about scope 2 and scope 3. So really the whole supply chain.
So including scope 1, 2 still. So if there is some revolutionary solution, it can be also interesting.
And that it's related to a question that just appeared. It's, do you consider learning programs related to emerging technologies, sustainability, supply chain investments, and the circular economy to be a priority during these days across the organization? And if what's the effort towards this direction?
Can you say again? I'm not sure I understood the question.
Yeah, I did not
You talk about learning or upskilling?
Supply chain, no? Supply chain.
Yeah, it's about if this is a priority, like to the learning programs relating to emerging technologies, sustainability, supply chain investment, what you just mentioned on supply chain, and investment in the circular economy. If this is a priority right now across the organization.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I hope it was. We try to demonstrate. That's why we try to demonstrate with on presentation. But I don't know if it's a question specific related to upskilling and learning. But clearly, within L'Oréal, we've got a lot of learning programs about green sciences, about circularity, about digital, about all these things we've just discussed.
Mm.
And what can you share a bit about this learning programs? How do they consist? How can people engage with them?
I think it's more learning. What I mean by learning is a learning program for our collaborators. So internally, so as was mentioned by Céline, we've got a number of priorities in R&I. Digital, is green sciences, inclusivity, is world of co. Well, if they are top priorities, we need to upskill our teams. So that's why we've got in our learning department is running out a lot of courses. So every month they're rolling out new trainings to upscale our staff, our collaborators, and to make sure that we've got all the right skills, all the knowledge required to meet all these very ambitious targets we set ourselves. So I'm not sure I'm answering your questions, but
I think it is. I think you covered it. And there's another question that I saw that I can't see now, but it was along how to innovate and co-develop alongside competitors. Is it something to do, and what's the challenge of doing that?
Okay. It's
a very good question. A very difficult question. I mentioned the venture with Genomatica, with Geno, involving Kao and Unilever. It's a very new initiative, so I think it's very difficult for us to draw any conclusions, recommendation at this stage. I think you need to give us a bit more time, at least on that initiative, to be able to give you some tips. Right now, I'm not sure we're able to give you that sort of feedback. But I don't know whether Céline or Maria, you've got other things to say.
No, it is indeed quite a new approach and new model, for sure. But the L'Oréal for the future is really the area where this kind of model can be needed to align and to join forces with competitors to achieve those goals.
And maybe then, can you tell us a bit about the process of deciding of working with a competitor?
I think in the case when the problem is very difficult and beyond largely L'Oréal objectives, and everybody understood that alone we cannot achieve, this is the right topic to do together, even with the competitor. So in this case, it's easier, and at the very beginning you should be aligned and fix common objectives. So once again, as we do it in the incubator, at the very beginning, very clearly to define the common objectives, who is doing what, which is the criteria of success, who will decide, the governance, common governance, etc. So the right process. Maybe this is my tips.
Yeah, I think it's obviously easier in areas where we are not looking for exclusivities. In which, going back to the greenification of our portfolio of ingredients, in our portfolio of ingredients, we've got some very high volume ingredients that are very cheap, or fairly cheap. If we work with partners, obviously for commodities, things that we're not going to make any claims on, there's no point having exclusivities, and that's probably it's an area where working with competitors might make a lot of sense. We want our partners to start to produce very high volumes, so the cost can go down and can be affordable by many companies and many brands.
Thank you, Florian, Maria.
Maybe we lost Fabienne.
No, I'm still there. Can you hear me?
Ah, okay.
We might have lost one.
Yes, it looks like we've lost one.
Oh, we've lost one.
Ah, yes, we lost one. I don't know if we lost one and everybody or.
No, I think we. Do you think so?
It's frozen.
No, I think, yeah, but I think that if we can somebody tell us if you're still here? Okay, great. So I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to take Juan's role basically. This might be an interesting question actually. Mariana is asking if you guys would consider process optimization softwares to get to market quicker, better, and at lower costs, considered as a product of interest in the biotech space. And I think Mariana is from a company called New Wave Biotech, by the way. Yeah. So yeah, are you interested in software? Well, it's at the crossroads of software and biotech. Are you interested in that kind of company, or is it completely out of your scope?
I think it can be interesting. It can be interesting. It depends on the project because I'm Fabienne. It's maybe in your scope, but in biotechnology, if there is a very specific and powerful software to optimize the process, etc., we have internal process, and if it can be helpful for internal process or in a project with our external partners. Can be interesting. So it depends on, of course, what is this?
Of course, but on the principle, I think the question.
Yes.
I agree with Mario. I don't know what sort of software we're talking about. Is that for research or for manufacturing? I think in both cases it could be interesting. We've got biotech labs, and in terms of manufacturing, we have a subsidiary called Novéal that manufactures some of our ingredients, and they are very much into biotech. So I don't know what software we're talking about, but in principle, yes, we might be interested.
Okay. Juan, sorry, I took your position.
Yeah,
because it's a highly paid job.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Olivier. Technical issues on this side. But I came back right in time just to wrap up things and to thank you all for participating in this webinar. I think it was really, really insightful. And as you have mentioned before, we encourage all the people that are present to reach out to you if they have any initiative that might be interesting. And just maybe if you want to close with a last remark, I would let each one of you just a quick 30-second phrase to what is it that we want to take from this today.
Yeah.
And maybe Olivier.
I can start.
Or Celine, sorry.
Okay, let's do it in order. So thank you all first for joining. And if you want to know more or continue the discussion, you can come at Hello Tomorrow if you have the opportunity on our booth, and we can address some of the questions that we did not address in the chat today.
Thank you, Celine, Florian.
Yeah, but again, thank you very much for joining. I hope we've convinced you that we've got some very ambitious sustainability targets, that we are very keen to work with external partners. And again, please come and see us. I think we'll all be at the Hello Tomorrow conference in a few weeks. So we'll very much look forward to seeing you there.
Okay, I can say the same, that I'm very happy to present the Green Science Incubator today in the scope of open innovation of L'Oréal. And I hope it was clear for you what does it mean for us. Don't hesitate to contact me by mail or at Hello Tomorrow. It's much easier. I will be there also at the Hello Tomorrow event with Genopole together, because Genopole will be there also, so we can answer to all of your questions concerning the incubation process and how you can be included in this program.
Thank you, Maria. Isabel, do you want to say something?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure to participate in this webinar. And like as everyone said, if you have any question, feel free to contact me at any time. So via email principally. Yeah. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, Olivier. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, because I'm not L'Oréal, I can say it. Apart from the cultural fit, the strategic fit, the technological fit, working with this company is really, really exciting. The program is great. The Wood Open Innovation is really bluffing. So you should give it a try. Join us at Hello Tomorrow, at the Hello Tomorrow Summit if you're there. Talk to the people in charge of the program if you're not. But really, the journey is worth it a million times. Yeah.
Thank you, Olivier. I can definitely vouch for that as well. We're working with L'Oréal has been a pleasure in many fronts that we have been working together, working with the Green Science Incubator, working for the summit that I don't have to introduce more because I think you all have helped us to talk about this summit. So well, just to let you know that we're going to be there with L'Oréal, with Genopole, 21st and 22nd of March. So we'll see you there, and thank you for participating. All right.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.